special called session of the Anderson County Board of Commissioners, April 27, 2023 meeting to order. We'll start with a prayer by Vice Chairman Vowell and Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Mays.
You'll join me in prayer, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you again tonight to thank you for all of your blessings. Lord, for saving us, for hearing our prayers, for watching over us, for keeping your hand on us, from keeping us from danger. Please forgive us of our sins, times, God, when we don't acknowledge you for all that protection, for all those blessings that you give us so freely each and every day. Lord, as we go into this meeting tonight, we pray that you'd be with each heart, each mind. Father, be with each leader that represents their people here tonight. Give us your wisdom, the wisdom you gave Solomon. Give us your discernment, Father, to make decisions that are pleasing in your sight. Then we'll know they're pleasing to all. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start with an update on lawsuits by Law Director Jay Yeager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do the easy ones first. Anybody got any questions on 4 through 8? That'd be Moss versus Anderson County. It's the one I reported a couple weeks ago to you. That's the officer-involved shooting. Tennessee Risk Management Trust did pick that case up. I'm working off the email I sent you early this morning. Butler versus Daniel. That's the car accident that we got brought in by comparative fault down off Batley, Pine Ridge Road. Dylan Dotson, that is the K-9 officer, and his companion Axel chased a gentleman after a car chase. Second time this individual's fled in his car, then he decides to flee on foot. The officer gave the proper commands, and the guy hid underwater in a creek, and Axel found him. So you don't resist the K-9, and he got bit twice. Feel good about that case also. The L. Ron Hubbard case, this is extremely violent inmate in the Anderson County Detention Facility. He's filed what the court is calling a writ of cert, or we're going to process it as a writ of certiorari in Chancery Court. We hadn't had one like that since 2001. That's where he is challenging the disciplinary board in the detention facility that designated him, what's the proper term, Shane, high risk or high security?
Yes, sir.
And personally, I believe he deserves that. We've had a lot of problems with this gentleman. Fincham Athletic Floors, that's the construction project at Anderson County High School. The allegations there are we led a contract for Gaylor Construction to do some renovations in the gym. They subbed the flooring out to Fincham, and Gaylor was not satisfied with the work. They listed about 8-9 deficiencies and didn't pay the sub, and there's a provision in state law that requires us to have a performance bond on construction projects over $100,000. We did not have that. So that's how come we're involved in that. The high school is trying to finish that floor during the summer break. So I've offered the opposing counsel the opportunity to bring his expert witness out there to take a look at it, see what we're doing. Any questions on any of those lawsuits?
Why didn't we have a performance bond on that?
I think when I talked to purchasing, they believe that statute said capital improvements. It actually says construction projects. But we've fixed that. Robbie has introduced some new policies, and we won't have that problem again. They also asked the director of maintenance at the school system, and it's not his fault, but he said, hey, I don't need one, I know these people, but We have to, by state law, is have that performance bond. But we fixed that issue. I know Robbie's really concerned about it, so is Catherine, and I'm sure it'll never happen again. In fact, they did what's the cafeteria renovation out at Dutch Valley Elementary. But Gaylor is somebody that's done a lot of work for us and the school system, work around the courthouse and also several schools.
Thank you.
Yeah, last thing I have there is the resignation of Commissioner Catherine Denenberg. Really hate to see her leave. She was a big part of this body for years. Brought a good mind, rational thinker. But however you want to proceed on that, let us know. We need a motion to accept her resignation and a motion whenever you want to fill that seat. Whether you want to do it in the May meeting or June meeting, but we need to start that process now. Jeff has got there's a special statute for vacancies in office, and Jeff Cole has to follow that, and we have to get that publication out. The other issue is, do you want to run it through nominating committee like we've done in the past? As you know, the state law says when you fill a vacancy, you can take nominations from the floor that night. But the nomination committee has done a good job vetting everybody to make sure they meet all the qualifications, such as residency and things like that. But if somebody gets nominated from the floor that night, we have to consider them. So we need a motion to accept the resignation and decide how you're going to fill it and when you want to do it and when you want to start the process. You may want to start the process tomorrow to get as many people as possible in here as candidates for this position.
Commissioner Isbell, did you have a question?
No, I withdraw.
Withdrawn, okay. Got a motion, Commissioner Mays,
Yeah, it's only to accept the resignation at this point. I
to
would
accept the resignation.
entertain other motions or discussion
Okay,
about when.
That's seconded by Commissioner Allen to accept the resignation. Any discussion? Commissioner Isbell?
Yeah, I just want to say Catherine was a great friend,
Mhm.
great, she was everybody's neighbor and excelled. Even though we were on two opposite sides of the fences, you can never tell it when we worked together. It was all about the common good.
Yeah, I remember the days that y'all made all those masks
Oh, yeah.
together. You worked well together, Tim.
Yeah, we traveled together,
Mhm.
She'd go out with me on different engineering
Mhm.
jobs. Great lady.
Yeah, we'll miss her.
Jay, I got one email from Catherine yesterday. That was the first one I got from her. Does she turn in a letter to you or to the county clerk, or how does she have to officially?
Turn into you.
Oh, just that, so that email is
Yeah,
just
I
all we
thought
need?
she sent you an email resigning.
It kind of covered that, but I wasn't sure if
No,
if
it
she
needs
needed
to
a
be to the
specific.
chair.
Okay, just to the chair. Okay, I didn't know how that worked, but Commissioner Mays.
So, about the motion, do we have an official resignation letter?
You
mean, I
got
know it
a
was
written
in-
correspondence.
As long as, I don't know.
Yeah.
I saw the Oak Ridger, I was just making sure.
And of
think
course,
I-
I told you the other.
What I
main issue.
forwarded you, but I can forward that out to.
Yeah, I didn't print it off, so I don't know.
I'll forward that to commission.
The other issue
Yeah.
is the residency issue. She's told me point blank that she left town today. So, once, an incumbent office holder leaves their district, or if it's the county, they're elected countywide, it's by operational law, that seat is vacant. So, but I understood that she sent you a resignation, email.
Commissioner Isbell.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, the resignation that we're talking about when it's, the special call meeting didn't have anything to do with Catherine's resignation.
Yes, it did.
It did?
Yes, it did.
How did we know if we only got it yesterday, when the notice came out, when we did the special call meeting?
She had told me about it, and I said, look, you need to inform the chair. I thought she was gonna do it at the April meeting. She didn't. I called to check on her. She's had some issues. And I said, what's your plans? And she said, well, I've closed on my house and I leave next Thursday. And at that point, I knew we had to fill it, and that's why I put it on the agenda for this meeting.
Okay, so it didn't have anything to do with the resignation that we took up in our executive session, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
No, this is Commissioner Denenberg's resignation.
okay.
And I sent an email out. She told me the first time she mentioned that to me, she said, this is confidential. And I had to keep that confidential. But I told her all along, look, I need something in writing. And we had to remind her again this week. She's just been very busy with the sale of her home. The closing of her home was this morning.
Okay, I've got that forwarded to the mayor and Jay and the county commission, what I got from Commissioner Dannenberg yesterday. So, Commissioner Allen.
Yes, the letter that she wrote to you, Mr. Chair, can that be used as a resignation letter? It seemed
Yeah,
to be
I think-
kind of general, but can that be used as a resignation letter?
Yeah.
I don't think she wants her to do another one.
Would it help if I just read this? Just
Yeah,
read
sure.
what I've got. She said, Josh, I'm sure by now you know that I will no longer be a representative of District 6. It has been my pleasure to accept and fill the responsibility for the constituents that I have served. I'm sure you know of the problems I've had since last year, and I can no longer serve in this capacity. I do hope a very excellent replacement is chosen to replace me. All the best to the rest of the team. Do excellent work for those who serve. Catherine Dennenberg. So,
That's a letter.
yeah,
That's a resignation.
that's what I got. Okay. Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to amend the motion to include that letter, email, in with the motion.
Okay.
I so move.
Motion to include the
Second.
letter, seconded by Commissioner Mays. Commissioner McCamey.
We have an official resignation, so it's 8, a majority,
Yes,
now because we have one.
yes, sir.
Okay, any other discussion? Let's vote on the motion, to the amendment to add the letter. Let's go to the board and vote. Yes is to amend the motion to include Commissioner Dennenberg's resignation letter. (15) yes, motion passes unanimously. Okay, now let's clear the board and vote. Yes is to accept Commissioner Dennenberg's resignation.
We still need a motion to carry
Oh,
forward.
Who,
the vote.
who made that motion first? Yeah, Mays. So, yeah, Anthony.
Does it need to be the original motion maker?
I think Taylor was, yeah. I think the second was
Commissioner Smallridge.
Commissioner Allen.
Seconded, but originally Commissioner Allen, so that's why I was.
Okay. I just withdraw my second and
Do you want, Annette, can you put Commissioner Allen as the second on that original motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Steve?
15 yes, motion passes unanimously.
Okay, give me some guidance on how we're gonna fill this.
Mayor, you had emailed earlier, do you think we should wait till May to act on the,
It's totally,
Advertising.
I mean, I only just sent a notice that I had a member of the media ask, and I thought it was in relation to the issues of the malpractice case. So my only concern was just to make sure that there wasn't an appearance that some individuals may have advance notice that the general public does not. So it was only, my concern was only about the appearance for the public, that there's plenty of time and plenty of notice for the filling of the vacancy. So, and how you accomplish that, that is just my one opinion, just as the mayor, so.
let's see what how far is it? That's the 3 weeks. And we have to do 10 days to.
10 days
to
on a
advertise.
vacancy notice and decide about if you're gonna run it through the nominating committee or not. If you don't, then we'll have to have somebody from the election commission up here that night when you fill it, just to verify the residency.
Commissioner,
Alright. I'll second, what's your motion?
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we run this through the nominating committee.
okay. Motion to refer.
You still second?
No, I don't.
Got a motion is seconded by Commissioner Barron to run through the nominating committee.
I am too.
Commissioner Isbell.
Now, we've also done this in the past, is we took nominations from the Florida County Commission. I don't know that we really run it, but one time through nominations, and most of the time it was just turned in, and everybody, you know, got their resume, and then it was all voted on, and, you know, the countdown, who the first 5, and went down that way.
That's what I did. I just made an application and showed up on the night, and nominating was not involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Commissioner Foster.
So I guess a question, can we run it through the nominating committee for the purposes of doing the residency requirements, but still that the nominating committee presents everyone that turns in an application that qualifies? I guess that's a question.
The issue there becomes that you can't cull anybody at the nominating committee. If it's just checking residency, I'll ask Annette if she'll just go up there with a list of all the people that have applied and put their resume in and check it before the meeting. But if anybody's nominated from the floor, we'll have to have somebody here from the election commission to verify that. So there's an easy route around the nominating committee.
Commissioner Mays.
Will there be any type of background check that may, so we can identify if they're, not eligible to hold office?
Well, all I can use is the qualifications in state law, and that's not many. Just age and residency and things of that nature.
So if this goes to the nominating committee, would the nominating committee set up the advertisement, or are they just strictly vetting the checking addresses and everything?
Well, they could interview them if they so desire, but they're not going to be able to eliminate anyone because of that state statute that says anyone can be nominated from the floor the night of the filling of the vacancy.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Jay, there's really no value in sending it to the nominating committee when they're not going to be vetting anybody.
It's given in the past, the few times we've used it, it's given them an opportunity to check the residency, but as I said, the qualifications, but as I said, we can do that anyway. It gives the nominees a chance to speak before the nominating committee, which is several county commissioners, to introduce themselves, but we can do it that same night. There's no necessity for the nominating committee.
Yeah, I can't recall that we ever sent, and maybe we have, I just don't remember. Seems like we always just did it before the meetings, and then everybody come up and spoke to the full
Exactly.
commission, and we asked questions, did it that way. I'd prefer to see it that way, and I imagine that the night before, Mr. Chairman, all the applicants, we could get over to the elections office for them to verify to the best of their ability where they live. I certainly hate that to be an obligation of the nominating committee, and then we open ourselves up for some liability of whether they did live somewhere or didn't. I don't want to get into all that. Seems like we got enough lawsuits floating around here. So I prefer it, Mr. Chairman, I'll vote no against sending it to nominating. I prefer it to come before the body of the 15 commissioners, and we make that decision the night of that night, whatever we decide. Thank you.
Commissioner Smallridge.
Yes, if it does go to the nominating committee, they don't make any kind of recommendation other than verifying
Right.
that they're qualified.
That's it. That's basically all they can do.
Commissioner Palmer.
So just for clarification, we will have an opportunity to interview or ask questions or talk to any of the ones that apply for the.
Yes, during the county commission meeting.
During the, okay.
We always allow them a little bit of introduction and maybe a few questions.
Okay.
Commissioner Isbell.
Yeah, how we've done that in the past, I think probably, we filled about 6 seats, yeah, since about 2010. And how we did it before is if they come in and you get the resume, so many days beforehand. And their background, they put their address, and when they come up to that podium, You know, you think they're telling you the truth, and most of the time you'll know them because they'll be sending you emails and they'll call you on the phone and tell you why they want to be. So what you're doing is you're voting for everybody in your district instead of them going to vote. So everybody has a vote from each district to help get, you know, the best person available. And when they come in, if there's 5 people, when the votes go through, the ones with the highest stay on, and it goes to another round. And it just, yeah, till it drops out till you get to the highest point.
And
That's why we've done it in the past.
Right, you're correct. And again, this person will have to run in the general election in 2024.
Is that gonna be the presidential primary or the
No, county general.
county general? Okay.
Well, it depends on if they petition to run as primary. There'll be a primary and a general if that happens.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes, would there be any time limit on the speakers that come forth to vie for this position?
That's this body's decision. There's no statutory limit on the time limit. You have a 3-minute time limit for appearance of citizens, but that's totally up to this body.
Do you think we should maybe have a time limit on someone's speech or not? Just let them go on until they get tired? But maybe we should limit those speeches to something reasonable. Maybe not more than 3 minutes, but maybe they should be limited.
Mayor Frank?
Are we talking about making the appointment at the May 15th meeting?
Well, I'm not really sure if we've even got, right now, we're just talking about sending it to
Okay.
nominating, so I'm not sure if
Okay.
we've even decided on
Okay.
that.
Just, whatever y'all decide to do, I think in the future, and this is why things should be put on the agenda, it would be beneficial for all the commissioners here to have the procedure for how you fill a vacancy. So we have numerous commissioners here that are new, and it helps all the commissioners stay in compliance with the law. You know what your roles and duties are, and, you know, that would be helpful, and probably in the future,
Yeah.
I can send
We
that
might
out
have that.
tomorrow. That's no problem at all. Send the statute out.
Well, and I was gonna, to your point about having enough time for people to apply and what Commissioner Allen's talking about, maybe setting up some parameters, what does the state say on as far as like having, like, as of right now, District 6 has 1 commissioner, so how long can we function with a vacancy? Like, I know they want you
Basically
to.
says the next meeting.
Okay,
But I know one time it was years ago, we missed the next meeting because you don't have a full body constituted
Right.
at that time. The District 6 representatives, citizens, will only have Anthony at this portion.
yeah.
You're in total control, Anthony, if you want that job.
Yeah, it seemed like maybe it's been years ago, or maybe when Johnny Alley got elected, I don't know if it was too close to another election, but
It
it seemed
was-
like there was several months where.
Yeah, there's that
where we were
provision,
short.
you know, if it's within 75 days of the election, but
Yeah.
I'll send that to you and let you look at it.
Okay.
We're not up against that.
Okay. Commissioner Foster.
I know you asked the majority's 8, but it's the highest vote getter once they have to get to 8.
You have to get to 8.
Have to get to 8, thanks.
You have to get a majority. We've had those go 8 or 9, at least, I don't remember 7 rounds.
Yeah, commission didn't appoint Commissioner Yeager. What was wrong with him? I don't understand.
It was a tie vote.
Yeah.
Somebody just gave up.
Any other discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Yes is to refer this to nominating committee. No is to not. Two yes, 13 no. Motion
Okay,
fails.
the process, I would assume, would be to send in applications and resumes to Annette's office. Is that how you want to do it?
I guess we would need a motion to, do we need we need a motion to start that? start
That's
the
what you
clock,
desire.
Direct that. Motion by Commissioner McCamey, seconded by Commissioner Allen.
What is the motion?
Is that to, yeah.
To have a resume and
For what meeting?
The May meeting.
For May, okay.
3 weeks.
Okay. So the application's on the website. You want an application and a resume, is that what I hear?
Commissioner Foster.
Do we have a deadline for applications? Or can they turn it in up to the time of?
Well, they can nominate from the
Right,
floor
from the
that
floor, but I
night,
didn't
so-
know if we put a deadline, so no deadline.
No, it's illusory. I mean,
Commissioner, Palmer, did you have a question?
Well, that was part of my question. So the 10 days, what is the 10 days from today?
the meeting has to be announced
Okay,
before the
for 10
filling.
days. Okay,
of the-
so when will that announcement be made?
Well, when you
Tomorrow?
decide on which meeting
Okay.
you want to fill it at, if it's going to be the May meeting, we try to get it out as soon as possible tomorrow.
It was for May.
Your motion's for May, Commissioner McKinney, okay. Any other discussion? All right, let's go to the board and vote. Motion is to have everyone send their resume and cover letter to Annette, and we'll advertise this to be decided at the May commission meeting.
What's going to be decided at the May Commission meeting? The person, the appointment. So we're looking at 15, 16, 18 days. Okay.
Is it 10 business days, Jay, or 10 calendar days?
Calendar days.
Thank you.
Yes, motion passes unanimously.
Okay, so I think we've taken care of that issue. We've got the 3 other lawsuits here that they're so convoluted. And as I told you, there was some recent developments today in it. We thought they had offered a dismissal with prejudice, but evidently they've changed their mind. I'll let on both of them. They want to hold our feet to the fire for the May 1st deadline of discovery. And I'll let Sam explain that to you. Mr. Miller's here tonight. The hearing is tomorrow morning in Knox County at 10 o'clock a.m. Sam will be withdrawn from the case, and I appreciate you, Sam. He's done a wonderful job. He's a very ethical attorney. I've been glad to work with him, but he'll be moving on. And whatever you decide tonight, we're going to have to get some additional representation. We can't move through this without an attorney. But I think it's best that we do this in executive session. You can freely answer questions and ask questions to Sam and myself. And after that, when you're satisfied with all the information, you understand what's going on, then we'll come back in the public session and take votes. And that's the only place, remember, that you can take votes. The discussion in executive session has to be questions to your counsel. There's no deliberation between commissioners at that point. But Sam has got a much better grasp of these cases than I do. But thank you so much.
Commissioner Wendell?
Mr. Chairman, I had something on the last
Oh,
item.
I'm sorry.
So I'll come back to it so we don't get off track. Thank you.
Commissioner Smallridge?
I also had a comment on what we were talking about.
Do you want to take care of those comments? I'm sorry if I moved
Yeah.
on too far. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, to Commissioner Allen's point, do we need to include as part of the announcement that goes out a time limit in terms of speakers, how much time?
That's up to you. You set
Well,
those rules.
You know, you have some people that will talk for 15 minutes and,
Or more.
or more.
Or we could hold them to the standard 3 minutes that's in the
We
county
could
commission.
maybe put that on the May agenda, we'll have a discussion before we take it up and say, we're gonna just kind of set up.
You've
I
got
think
the
we
3-minute
we could
rule
set up
that
some
I
rules or
believe could be enforced there.
suspend the 3-minute rule or change something for that if we need to.
Chairman, I think maybe we should, get those parameters out beforehand. Let people know what the parameters are. Some people may have something prepared that's too long or too short. So I think that we should just let people know what the parameters are prior to our meeting. That way people can prepare.
Is that gonna get us, if we take that up now, is that getting us off course from this meeting as far as what's on the agenda, like setting up rules or?
No, you got the resignation, and we've got to decide how we're gonna handle it. You've already made a couple motions on how we're gonna handle it. You do have in place the 3-minute rule in county commission rules. If you wanna deviate from that, then there would have to be a motion to change that limitation, that time limitation.
Commissioner Allen, or you?
And remember, you can always suspend the rules with, was it 2/3? Or 3/4, isn't it, on the suspension?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
to suspend those rules, to give people a little bit more time than 3 minutes. And so I think that should be gotten out early beforehand. Suspend the 3-minute rule, come up with a number, 4 minutes maybe, I don't know, and then get that out to people early, so they'll have that rule.
Okay, do you want to put that, well, do you want to make your motion to set a specific time then, so we've got that?
Set a specific time and to get it out early. Let
Okay.
people know what that time is.
What time would you suggest for your motion?
4 minutes.
4 minutes per candidate,
Yes.
right? And that
We
might,
can get it out tomorrow, Anthony.
Yeah.
We'll start doing the public notice tomorrow.
okay. Got a motion, seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Is any of this discussion on this motion, or do?
It is.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
I think.
A lot of discussion.
Because she went through this process,
Okay.
several, and she might be able to enlighten somebody who's never seen it before.
Yeah.
So my question was just, the 4 minutes, does that include any questions from the commissioners? So they would have 4 minutes to make their presentation, and then we would have questions from the commission. So that wouldn't count towards that 4 minutes. I just wanted to make sure that we're not like
Yeah.
cutting people off and then not being able to ask questions.
Yeah.
That would be my second, if that's your motion for.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. That would be my motion.
Okay. Commissioner Mays.
Mr. Chairman, why are we making this so complicated and confusing? This body has, when I was appointed in 2012, the rules were set the day of the meeting in terms of each candidate you have 5 minutes to speak, and each candidate, each commissioner has an opportunity to ask questions. We set something in place today, doesn't stop a commissioner from asking this body to suspend the rules and change it again. So I don't know, I feel like we're just getting really convoluting this process even more, when this body, I think, has done a pretty good and fair job. And I think that, I trust you as the chair to handle that meeting and to set those ground rules. Again, I'm gonna vote no on this, just because we've already got rules established. We've got rules in place. We can ask questions that they're gonna, I think 3 minutes is sufficient time to give us a bio. And I just don't know why we're adding time or taking away time, or even, quite frankly, having the discussion about it when it's already in our rules, and this is how we've operated since I can remember watching county commission.
Commissioner McCamey.
Yeah,
Or Commissioner McCamey. Let me get him the variance. Sorry.
I was just going to say 3 minutes that we have in place, I feel is enough time for them to introduce themselves. And then if we have questions, there's no time limit on that, as long as commissioners are engaging with the candidate. But I think 3 minutes is plenty enough time to introduce themselves and say why they want to be a county commissioner.
Commissioner Varian.
yeah, we're gonna already have their applications and their resumes for the most part, unless somebody just comes up to the microphone and, and if they're just showing up the night of the meeting, then I don't see giving them any extra time or anything like that. 3 minutes is plenty. We don't need their whole life history.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Wandell.
I just wanted some clarity. I agree with everything that's been said. I think 3 minutes is plenty. I guess I'm concerned with the motion. If the motion reads to, what'd you say with the rules, suspend the rules, that kind of concerns me, because you open up a whole can of worms when you start suspending rules. I mean, when you suspend the rules, we have none. That means fair game. I mean, we could sit here and say, I'll take this one, because we don't have any rules no longer. I mean, I may be way off base, but I'm not in favor of canceling our rule or suspending our rules. I like the 3 minutes. I agree with Commissioner Mays and the others that have talked. 3 minutes is fine. If they need more time, we'll certainly give them more time. They'll get another 3 minutes if they make it past the first round. So that's the way it kind of goes. So I think Commissioner Mays is right. We can handle this. It's no problem. Back to my original question I didn't get to ask is, Mr. Chairman, I want to know, are we going to get this out like tomorrow, and is it going to go in all the publications? Do you need that motion? I want to make sure that in the 18 days, everyone in District 6 knows that this is an open position if they'd like to apply for it and what the process is. So I don't want to see it go out to one paper and we hit the box and say that's good enough. So I want to know how we're going to advertise this position, and if you need a motion, I'm happy to make it.
Okay, I think Commissioner McCamey's motion covered directing Annette.
Yeah, but I think what he wanted to know is, you know, not just the Clinton Courier. When we did the notice for this meeting, and what we've been doing a lot of notices this way, I call the Oak Ridger, BBB TV. Brad's been very helpful. Wish, Norse Bulletin, Clinton Courier, our website, ACTV. They've all been running these notices, and if you can think of anything I'm missing, we'll get in there. But to answer your question, we'll do it tomorrow, sir.
Is that part of your motion, Mr. McCamey, all those?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is Oak Ridge Today and the Oak Ridge in that circulation?
I didn't do this meeting in Oak Ridge today. Are they still operating?
It started up again.
Okay, well, I'll certainly do them tomorrow also with the whole group. We'll get it in as many different publications as we possibly can. Just let me know if you can think of anything. I agree with your goals.
Commissioner Val.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the risk of this turning into one of Commissioner Yeager's workshops on parliamentary procedure, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding, when you vote to suspend the rules, you can specify specifically what rule that you're suspending. It's not just an overall general suspension of all rules?
That's my understanding.
Okay, all right.
It was suspend the rule.
Yeah,
not
Commissioner
the
Wendell
rules.
said that, it kind of got my wheels turning of what does that really mean?
I understand his thoughts.
Okay, yeah, and that got my thoughts straight.
We pretty much got the process in place with our county commission rules and the state law.
Commissioner
I'll
Allen.
send you out the state law in the morning.
And you're specifically talking about just the candidates themselves, not
Not the whole rule, but just that specific rule that would change from 3 minutes to 4 minutes. Suspend that.
So if they bring a busload of their best friends in District 6 to talk about how swell they are, they still have to stick to the 3-minute rule. It's just the candidates okay.
Yeah, so I just think that we should, give people those parameters up front and early, let them know what the rules are. People may come and they may have a 4-minute speech, but if you want to handle it that way, that's fine, but I think people should know beforehand what the rules are, and not the day they get there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Yes is to amend the rules for the candidates to have 4 minutes to present, not including their questions and answers from commissioners. Six yes, 9 no. Motion fails.
Okay, anything else on this issue? As I understand it, we will get the notice out tomorrow and all those different publications and media outlets. And the process is for the applicants to contact Annette for the application and the resume, and then we'll take it up at the May meeting. Any other questions on those lawsuits that I mentioned? If not, then we need to let Mr. Miller take over.
I just need to beat that horse one last time about the interviews. Historically, no one from the audience has been able to come up and advocate for a candidate. I just want to make sure that that's still the case. I mean, I know there's not a specific rule on it, but is that?
Commissioner Bell.
We have actually, Mr. Chairman, we have actually had them come up. I know there was a constable's race one time that we had to fill, and we allowed comments from the audience. Now, I have to admit, that's probably the only one I do remember,
Yeah.
but I know it's happened at least once.
Commissioner Foster.
Just, I guess, Commissioner Mays' point, with the new rule of having all the discussion on anything on the agenda in that first bit of time, that would be the only time they're allowed to speak unless we suspend the rules?
No, when they come back up.
Not the individual, I'm talking about from somebody from the audience, because the new rule is they can only speak at that time for the audience. So if they were gonna speak for somebody, they could come up and speak then, but that would be the only time.
Okay. Okay. So I
Thank
guess,
you for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
thank you. So at this point, we'll need a motion for an executive session.
I do have a motion I would like to make before we go to our executive session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me get to, Commissioner Mays has got one he's wanting to make real quick.
I would move to enter into the executive session.
Executive session, okay. That's the second.
You want to vote on that first, or?
Are you wanting to make a motion related to the
Yes, related to,
the appointment process?
no, these lawsuits. Before we go into executive session.
Well, we've got one on the table. Commissioner
Sure,
Wendell.
We can handle that one. Let's go ahead.
Okay.
So the motion is to go into executive session,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Before we go into executive session, Mr. Chairman, I've stepped out of the last couple of executive sessions because I have concerns. I guess I need to know what we're going to talk about before we go into executive session. I have information in front of me, and I want to know what lawsuits we plan to discuss. I don't need to know the details or the offers or any of that stuff. I understand the need to keep that confidential per se, but, you know, as we look at this, we're at $2,026,969.85 of taxpayers' money. That's a lot of money, and it is the taxpayers' money. And it seems to me every time we go into these executive sessions, it costs us more money. So if I don't get some answers before we go into executive session on what we're going to discuss in general, I will step out of this executive session as well. I don't want to be a part of any more tax dollars going out the door. And that's what I feel like's been happening. I was chairman when this all started with one of the cases. And I remember making an email proposal for $388,000 settled, and some laughed. Thought that was not a smart thing. So here we are, almost over $2 million later, and we're getting ready to go into executive session. And I'm sure we'll be thinking about more attorneys, more offers. And I just, Mr. Chairman, I need a little bit of clarity if I'm going to participate in executive session on what we're going to be discussing and the need to have those discussions. Thank you.
I think I can help you. I know you've had trouble with your email account, Tracy. Did you get the email from me early this morning at 4:18? It's got the cases listed. Let me show you.
No, Jay, I get all kinds of emails, and to be quite,
It's those first three, sir.
Mayor Frank.
Mr. Chairman, is it possible, to Commissioner Wandell's point, all the filings in this particular case are public record, someone could go and pull them. Is there a possibility that Mr. Miller could just brief us on what we're getting ready to act on? I know there are some public filings that have already happened for withdrawal. And then I understand that there are some motions that have been filed for dismissal. And if the commission can be briefed in public about what those public actions have been and what we're going to entertain in the executive session, I think that would address the questions that Commissioner Wandell has wisely asked.
Mr. Miller, can you tell us a little bit?
Sure, I have no problem with that. Excuse my voice, I'm a little under the weather. I do want to point out before I begin that any questions that you ask, I'd encourage you to do them in executive session, because if you ask questions in public, people like Mr. Brown, the defendant's counsel, are going to hear you. So, and he's here today. And so the three lawsuits that we're talking about are, the first are Sheriff Russell Barker, the Civil Service Board of Anderson County, the Anderson County Sheriff's Office, and Anderson County versus Arthur Knight III, Jonathan Swain Taylor, Caitlin C. Burchett, and Taylor and Knight GP. That's case number 3-159-22, the Knox County Circuit Court. That deals with the allegations of malpractice. In the Smith case, that is the case where the county paid approximately $1.4 million of front pay to a former police, I believe he was a detective, sergeant, sheriff's deputy, who had an indication for sexual assault. In that particular case, Sheriff Barker and the Civil Service Board have decided to not proceed with their portions of the case as plaintiffs. And yesterday, we filed on their behalf motions to dismiss with prejudice, with the understanding that defendants would not oppose those motions and had fact said that they had seen and agreed to the proposed orders in those cases, dismissing them with prejudice. The second case for discussion is Nicholas J. Yeager and Anderson County versus Jonathan Swain Taylor, Caitlin C. Burchett, and Taylor and Knight GP, case number 2-14922 in the Knox County Circuit Court. That deals with the allegations against those defendants involving the Crowley case. That is the case in which there was an adverse judgment against an adverse verdict, I should say, against Mr. Yeager for conspiracy to submit false testimony, and the resultant settlement that was paid out by the county on his behalf of $75,000. In that particular case, Mr. Yeager has decided to and instructed us to dismiss his portion of the claim with prejudice. That is on file with the court as of yesterday. It is our understanding that the defendants do not oppose that motion and have seen and agreed to the proposed order in that case. I fully expect that the court will grant the motion to dismiss Mr. Yeager's claims with prejudice and to grant Sheriff Barker and the Civil Service Board's motions to dismiss with prejudice. That leaves Anderson County as the only plaintiff in those two cases. The third case involves the State of Tennessee ex-rel Thomas Michael Miller, Michael A. Harbor, and Martha Klein Harbor for the benefit of Anderson County, Tennessee versus Nicholas J. Yeager, Anderson County, Tennessee, and the Anderson County Commission. That's case number 22CH4214 in the Anderson County Chancery Court. To boil that case down real small, they're asking to invalidate and undo the payment of $75,000 by the county, to have the court declare the county couldn't pay that, and to essentially have Mr. Yeager pay it back, and they've asked for his job. That's the sum of that lawsuit. And so I have filed my status in the case is I've filed a motion to dismiss in the first case involving Sheriff Barker. I filed that motion to withdraw. It's set to be heard at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I've also filed a motion to withdraw in the Yeager case. That's the Crawley case. That is set to be heard at the exact same time tomorrow. I'm making arrangements with the judges to be in different courts at different times to handle that. We have filed a motion to withdraw in the State of Tennessee ex-rel Thomas Michael Miller. That motion to withdraw was filed, I believe, on Tuesday, and I believe it is set for the 12th of May at 9 a.m. in the Chancery Court of Anderson County. I'd ask you to not discuss and not ask any questions outside of executive session regarding these cases, my recommendations to these cases, or any opinions that I have in these cases. Thank you.
Sure.
So the purpose then of the executive session would be to address, you have a motion to dismiss on Barker as well as your motion to withdraw, motion to dismiss on Yeager versus the defendants, as well as a motion to withdraw, and the outstanding is Anderson County. And our options there, either to dismiss or to continue on and hire outside counsel, that would be the topic of executive session. Is that a fair assessment?
I don't believe we're going to be discussing my withdrawal.
Okay.
That is filed. I don't believe we're going to be discussing, other than the facts I've stated to the public regarding the motions to dismiss involving Sheriff Barker, the Civil Service Board, and Mr. Yeager. We are discussing, which is properly noticed, the settlement discussions on existing lawsuits. Those are the existing lawsuits, and that's the subject of discussion.
Okay. And then,
Fully disclosed to the public in the agenda.
okay, and then the Miller case, you would anticipate that would be a topic of discussion in the executive session?
I don't know that there's much to discuss in that case.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Wendell, did you have any follow-up before I go to Commissioner Isbell?
No, that was very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Isbell.
Yes, where does the privilege of confidentiality lay? Is that with
The
the
county,
client?
the county holds the privilege of confidentiality. The only way that I would breach confidentiality or privilege, is the way we should call it, is if the county took a full vote for me to do that. I don't have authorization to do it otherwise.
Okay, but if a commissioner did it,
If a commissioner did it, they'd be violating the county's privilege. The county holds the privilege. So no commissioner can breach the privilege for the county. There has to be a vote to do that.
okay,
And I would say that if some commissioner did that, I would hope this body would hold that commissioner accountable.
Commissioner Allen.
Yes, just as a point of clarity, can someone explain why these lawsuits have never been in committee, the legal advisory, the legal advisory committee? How come they haven't gone down there? I was told that most of these issues that we have to go through a committee and, you know, to be looked at carefully. You know, why haven't these lawsuits been in a committee to be looked at? Jay or Ian?
That's beyond my purview.
And when was the last time the legal advisory committee met?
Mr. Chairman, I think this is out of order. I mean, we've got a motion, and I think these are great discussions, but we have a motion to go to an executive session or not. And the questions raised by Commissioner Wandell, I think were relevant, and Commissioner Isbell, but I think that going down this rabbit trail of that, I think that's a little off topic. So I would ask that if there's not anything else as it pertains to the motion on the floor, that we take a vote.
I think we're close to being ready to go to a vote, but I think there's always concerns around an executive session about people wanting to make sure there's transparency. So I think maybe the mayor's doing and what Commissioner Allen are just trying to get as much public information out there without, they're trying to walk that line. So yeah, Jay, if you want to
I'll be glad
answer
to
Commissioner
answer
Allen's question, then we'll.
Commissioner Allen's, the Legal Services Advisory Committee does not take up lawsuits. That's not their mission. That's not in the scope of their duties at all. We don't have a chair right now. I've asked the mayor if she would chair. I don't think she wants to, but anybody who wants to chair, we need a chair. But no, sir, we don't take lawsuits through the Legal Services Advisory Committee. That is there to help my office, assist my office, consult with me. That's what the purpose is there. These are all county commission issues that have to come to the county commission. County commission is the sole body that has the discretion to enter into a lawsuit or settle a lawsuit. Nobody else can. Thank you.
There are no other discussion. Let's go to the board and vote. Yes is to go into executive session. Eleven yes, 4 no. Motion passes. I guess we're ready to go ahead and clear the room and get us off line and yeah, well, let's take 5 minutes, come back at 7:30. Okay, we're back out of executive session. Do we have any motions? Commissioner Beauchamp.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we, Anderson County government, walk away from the Jay Yeager and Anderson County versus Taylor Knight lawsuit.
I got a motion and a second by Commissioner Mays. Does there need to be a specific lawsuit number, anything listed in the?
There's not one on here.
Walk away
Discussion.
means dismiss?
Yes.
Any other discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Fourteen yes, 1 no, motion passes. Commissioner Beauchamp.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we walk away, dismiss the Barker and Anderson County versus Taylor Knight lawsuit.
Motion by Commissioner Beauchamp, seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Any other discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Eleven yes, 4 no. Motion passes. Commissioner Beauchamp.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we seek outside counsel for the Miller versus Yeager and AC with the chairman's approval of the attorney.
Motion to seek outside counsel by Commissioner Beauchamp, seconded by Commissioner Mays. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Thirteen yes, 2 no. Motion passes.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, let's see, we've got Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that we reconvene and schedule a date for the Legal Services Advisory Committee to meet as soon as possible. I so move.
Motion by Commissioner Wandell to reconvene the Legal Services Committee, seconded by Commissioner Mays. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Or Commissioner Val.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Wandell, what would the reasoning be on that, other than, I know they haven't met in quite a while, as pointed out, I think, by Commissioner Allen earlier. Is your intent that maybe they get together and maybe kind of streamline some processes, maybe?
I think the first thing you said, for them to meet.
I understand.
And what they discuss, totally
Up to them. I
But
got you.
But I would hope that the process would be developed. Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
sir.
No, thank you for the question.
Jay, did you say there's no chairman currently? So they,
Motion from this body.
we'd need a motion to convene, and then they'd need to
Is there a
elect
vote?
the chair.
I think everything's filled. We just need a chair. You want to volunteer? Oh,
That's,
I think Tracy is.
Steve Meade was the chairman of that committee. So that's what we need to do first, is meet as a committee and elect a new chairman, because it's elected by the members of that board.
Was that,
Correct.
did you have another? That was it? Okay, any other discussion? Okay, let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously. Do we want to go ahead and try to set a date for that, Commissioner Chairman?
I think my motion just says as soon as possible. I don't think I'm the chairman of it. I don't think I'm a member of it. I don't know, but I'll be there.
There's 4 commissioners, I think, that's on that board.
We'll let Annette and yourself tell
Just
us
get
and
that on
send
the-
out some emails.
get that
We'll
on the
convene when there's an open date for us to meet.
Okay, we'll get that noticed. Okay, Commissioner McCamey.
Jay, did the motion about the sheriff, did that handle the civil service boards? That took care of it too?
Yes.
Just
they
dismissed?
entered a notice to dismiss that case.
Okay.
Commissioner Wondell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to reconvene and schedule a date for the IT Advisory Board to meet as soon as possible. And just in case my good friend Commissioner Val asks, same thing.
I kinda knew that.
Well, how often does the IT Advisory Committee
We're scheduled to meet on the 10th, like 10 o'clock, and we want to
scheduled to meet May 10th? So is this to make it sooner? Or?
I'd like for them to meet sooner. I think there's a need to meet sooner if they can, but I'm willing to let it go to the 10th if they desire, but I think sooner would be better.
That's your motion. Meet sooner. Do we
Yes.
do we have a second?
I got a question.
Okay, Commissioner Isbell.
I'm trying to recall who the other commissioners are that were on that board, because if they're not present anymore, we may not have a quorum.
Yeah, you've got new people on here as of September.
So, yeah, that went on through.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Allen's
I
on
want to say
IT.
Commissioner Beauchamp, Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Wandell.
I think it's just one commissioner.
No.
There's 4.
I can't think of them. Annette's got it.
Okay.
On the IT Advisory Committee?
No, legal services?
Legal service.
Oh,
IT,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a point of order question. Since it's a special call meeting, can we make a motion to have a meeting, or can we only take up what's on the agenda? I know it's being technical, but I don't want somebody, if we can meeting that can't
I
be
guess
You can have
scheduling,
specific
just scheduling a
on the
meeting.
agenda, but if you think it derives from this, any of the issues on there, I understand, but it should be on the agenda. As a special call meeting, the law states that all your items should be on the agenda.
I mean, there's no new discussion or anything on the agenda, so that's why I was asking the question. I just wanna make sure we're not, I know it's just calling a meeting, but kind of being, sticking to the rules.
Mr. Chairman, the only one showing, as far as commissioner representative is Commissioner Allen on the IT Advisory Board.
Okay.
The rest are department heads, law director, Mayor Frank, and all the other department heads.
Any other discussion on scheduling the IT Advisory Committee meeting for as soon as before the 10th? Let's go to the board and vote. Oh, Commissioner Mays, excuse me.
And last second. I guess this would be just a public notice question. If they're already meeting on the 10th, the requirement for public notice, do we have enough time to have one sooner? If it's not a special call or an emergency meeting? I second it because I agree with him. I think it's,
We may be able to get it in the Clinton Courier, and the other media outlets, if you want to try to do it before the 10th.
Mr. Chairman, I think I'll just withdraw my motion. Since they're meeting the 10th, there's no sense of us spending more money and all that kind of fun stuff and extra work. We'll just let it be the 10th and hope to see everybody there.
Okay.
I'll withdraw my motion. Thank you.
Commissioner McCamey,
I withdraw.
you're out. Commissioner Isbell.
Oh, the only thing is, we need to put that, ask for that to be on the agenda to talk about.
I think, Jay, you were gonna add some items to the IT Advisory
Yes.
agenda, right?
Okay.
I think.
All right.
Okay. Commissioner Wandell.
I was just going to say on the Legal Services Advisory Committee, the commissioners are myself, Commissioner Beauchamp, and Commissioner Anderson.
Am I?
You may be chair.
It's got a little hyphen that says you're the chairman.
Can I not be?
Somebody for the library board?
I got a seat on the library board, I'll swap some. That was a joke, I'm sorry. And we've already covered acceptance of resignation. Okay, I guess if there's nothing else, Mayor Frank.
Yes, I would just like to hear from our council that we've addressed everything in terms of the legal issues and have those assurances, or if there's anything left outstanding that we need to file or address. I understand there's a hearing tomorrow, is that correct?
We will file the motions to dismiss within the next hour. I don't know when they'll be heard. I assume the judge will ask me, what do you want to do, Mr. Miller? And I'll say, sign the motion, it's unopposed. So I anticipate it'll be signed tomorrow. If it's not, for some reason, I will let Mr. Yeager know.
And just to clarify, those motions were for the county, is that correct?
They are for the county in the Yeager case and the Barker case. And then the motion to withdraw has already been filed. It is set for May 11th in the Miller case. You've got more time to find counsel. I'm sure that the judge will give you additional time, even beyond the 12th, to find that. So I estimate you probably have 60 days to file, or to find new counsel in the Miller case, is what I'd estimate.
Thank you.
All right, there's no other business on the agenda, so we are adjourned.
Curious if there were two different ones or were they the same?
Two different ones.
Okay.